Oh, yeah, baby, 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 boo. Dear diarrhea, diary full of shit. Just play along, me, myself, and I. No one else will go. I'm so legit. Well, some evil coward rubber banded that guy. His initials are CK. I put the two new little videos in the Weak People Make Stupid Times. Those are two people I subscribe to. I don't watch them a whole lot, but I've subscribed to them, for years. They're just, the one guy's like a homesteader, and he's just like a solid dude. Um, and lives on like this paradise, acreage and stuff like up in, I don't know, Washington or Portland, Oregon or something like that. Not Portland, but anyway, and the other dude is, I think he's former military, and now he's a politician. I just remember that fortune cookie I got the other day that said, "Hey, politics, woo, interested?" But anyway, go check them out if you have to. And I didn't really, I just heard of that. Of course, they're trying to play it, like they're these crusaders, who are stopping, the guy with the mustache version 13.2 and a half or whatever they're up to now. I love all of you. Like he was twisting and everything. He wasn't all, hey! He was like, fucking rainbows, y'all! And they were still, it's just, hate is hate is hate. A hate whore is a hate whore is a hate whore. These people, man, it doesn't matter. You love grandma and kittens and maybe even dogs. It depends on what kind of dog it is. Is it a dog with masculine energy or feminine energy? Because pretty much cats all have feminine energy, right? You got some fucked up shit in your heart, and heart, deed, motive, scales of justice. These people, man, whew, bad news. And they're cowards. They're fucking cowards. But it's not like the guy, who's looking at you with his head kind of cocked to the side with this unnerving smirk on his face, and and then he does something bad, and he like, in front of, I'm not condoning that, but at least that guy has nerve. But that guy was probably out there in the crowd, just all, he's got his piece. He's probably all shaking and shit, He was probably aiming for his stomach, it happened to accidentally hit him in the neck, and just, and then just ducked down and, probably gave out a little, and the crowd was like, and he was like, and dropped the piece, or maybe he shoved it up his ass and was like, and just, they're fucking cowards. But he or she got it done, or maybe there was 15 of them, and they're all just like, aim for the biggest part of them, I don't know, man, I don't know. It's a good thing our side isn't like that, because they would have double tapped him right in the center of the face. But, well, neck is pretty close to the face. Well, anyway, but we don't, our side doesn't do that shit. The top comment, was something like, once again, the party of peace and tolerance have shown their true colors. But that's some fucked up shit, man. So, anyway, I got a call from that job today. Did a quick interview with the one like Maine dude and the one dude from a different pit. It went really well. They said they'd call me by the end of the day. Right now they're working 12-hour days, and I guess in the winter they work 10-hour days. So you get time and a half. I don't want to give too much away, but basically, I'll be making about $85,000 a year. I will say that, which is pretty damn good. That's up there for heavy equipment operators. because I remember looking into it, and I think the average was like 55. Right. So like I said, I don't want to give too much away, but I'm making more than the average now. But I will say that. But I'll be working, 50 during the busy season. 55, 60 hours a week. But that's pretty much every job I've ever had. This is the only job I've ever had where I've worked 40 hours. I didn't even know they existed. But then in the winter it slows down and you'll be working about 50. So, but that's fine. I mean, that's a normal job, And I know what I said. Hey, these 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. Shit. I get home and there's still like 6 hours of sunlight. What's up with that? So yeah, I'll be working, but I'll be making overtime, and all that stuff. So, yeah, good deal, Lucille. That's gross, of course. That's before taxes, and it depends. I forget what it is as far as state taxes, but there's like whatever whatever you want to get on is like 401k and your insurance and whatnot. So the general rule of thumb, as far as I know, is basically a couple $100, they take out every paycheck for your stuff, and they have all that standard stuff. And I've got my 401k that rolls over and all that good stuff, but. And they offer that, and they match, and all that good stuff. So, and insurance and stuff. I mean, that's important. So, especially seeing as Katie Boo and I are gonna have a family and whatnot. At least one kid. She can probably manage one kid. She better hurry the fuck up, because she's so old and shit. So. So if I don't hear from him, I'm not going to panic because it went really well. It was one of those low-key things. And just like with this job interview, I was doing most of the talking. I was asking questions. Because I'm old and shit, and this isn't my first rodeo, but I do present myself well. It's like, look, I'm green to this industry, but I'm starting to figure out the ropes. I've got the aptitude for it. And the guy even said, he's like, it's all it takes to, know how to run a loader and heavy equipment is just time, So he gets it, and they run big boy equipment. They run excavators, bulldozers. They run, their front end loaders are like big, big honking motherfuckers. The one I'm running, is like your standard size that you'd see on a construction site. It's got like a 4-yard bucket, But I'll be, the ones that they run are those big motherfuckers with the teeth. They're not like big, huge ones that you'd see in a mine. But they're pretty fucking big. They're like 4 times bigger than the one I'm running now. And there's opportunity for advancement and pay raises and all that stuff. So, like I said, $85,000 a year to start. 2 years down the road, that 85 might be 95. So, and it was just, they both seemed. I told them, I said, I started on the ground. I'm willing to do this, that, and the other. And they were like, that's really good to hear. I'll skip the details. And there's no guarantees. I mean, they might say, hey, look, we thought about it. I would be surprised because, I mean, it was really good. They shook my hand before and after the interview. They weren't like, well, thanks for coming down. He was talking to me. He's like, I forget what he said, but he's like, he called me brother, so. I don't know. Thanks for being on time. I actually beat them, so. But that's how that works. And I knew that was important. I said, ETA, this time. So I said, well, ETA basically means be there at that time, and I was there right at that time. But, briefly, real quickly told them, because I said, did you read my resume? And they were like, yeah. And I've been kind of busy, running back and forth. So I just gave them a quick rundown of, what I'm doing now. And the interview itself took about 45 minutes. And I was doing most of the talking. Well, there was some back and forth stuff. And then I would elaborate on it, and I would comment, like, oh, yeah, this, that. Oh, by the way, it's funny you should mention. Yeah, absolutely. It's good that you say that, because sometimes we got guys who are like, and then they're out of stuff to do, and they're like, well, let's go home. And it's kind of up to you, but, it's like, well, if you want to, advance and get that pay raise when it's come due for evaluation, if you're the guy who runs out of shit to do and just wants to go home, well, you're probably going to stay at your current pay, So it was just really low-key and relaxed, and it went really well. And like I said, if it, something like, I don't know, he said something like, I'll talk to you later, brother, or something like that. So it's like, oh, but some people just talk like that, so, and the one guy, holds a CDL, and he started at the bottom. The one guy started at the bottom. Now he's the pit manager, and here I am, Mr. Truck driver for 20 years, starting at the bottom, green, but have aptitude, blah, blah, blah. I showed up, I'm in my shit, I got all my gear and my, clearly I'm a working boy. And got a ladder, and a sprayer in the back of my truck with shovels and hose, talk about props. I can go to work tomorrow, but and tomorrow I think the loader is actually going to be there. So tomorrow I'll be doing loader work. I'll be back in a loader. But so yeah, it sounds like there's a whole mix of stuff. Sometimes they need you to go over here and help, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing now. In fact, just last week we were at DIA doing stuff, and it sounds like there's going to be kind of more of that. Generally, I will be working out of a specific location. And again, it's kind of set up the same way. This place has 3 locations that are all like within pretty close proximity to each other. So I hope it works out. It might not. I will be extremely disappointed if it doesn't. I will also be I'll be surprised, because that interview went great. Because you can tell, how people, the tone in their voice, and, yeah, exactly, and it's like, yeah, it seemed like all 3 of us were on the same page. And I wasn't coming off as arrogant or cocky, I was just, it went really, really well. So, there you be, chickadee. And yeah, it'll just be an upgrade, higher pay, more equipment, because that's what he said. He said, we got guys who never run the same piece of equipment, 1 week from the other. Fuck, sign me the fuck up. I could be running a big, huge, front end loader for 1 week. The next week I can be cleaning up piles of dog shit with a skid steer. I didn't say that, but yeah, I hope I get this job. I'll be disappointed if I don't. But, and it sounds like they need help. So, and the DUI thing, I neglected to mention, is that an issue with insurance? They didn't say anything, so I might find out, that, hey, unfortunately, our insurance won't touch you, even though you're not on probation, blah, blah, blah. But it was the same guy that I talked to, a year ago. I recognized him. I recognized how he talks. And I pulled in. He's the same guy. I pulled in about a week ago, when I first showed up. briefly. Hey, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, beggars can't be choosers, but I'm still going to attempt to choose anyway. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, fill out an application. And then I heard him talk on the phone, and I'm like, oh, cool, it's the same guy. And he showed up, and he's like, good to see you again, you know, so. But some people are just laid back like that, you know what I mean? That's not a shoe-in. That doesn't mean you're in like Flynn. And like I said, you could get that call saying, well, you know, I'd hire you, I'd have you in a loader tomorrow, but unfortunately, But he's like the pit, you know, he's been there for like 20 years, okay? So I'm pretty sure, you know, if, you know, they couldn't hire me or there was something that would cut this process short, this hiring process, he probably would be aware of it and say, look, I'm going to have to stop you right there. I can't touch you, you know, whatever. You know, because that's what he said at first. He said as soon as, you know, you got all that stuff off your vehicle, because it sounds like I'm probably going to get a company vehicle. I was supposed to with this company, but then things shifted around and things happened. And so, anyway, 16 minutes in, I don't know. Wish me luck, I guess. Don't pray for me or anything like that, you dumb dingbat. In case, you know, Katie Boo, you're listening, and I know you're a good Christian girl. This is not something that's worthy of that, in my opinion. Just chill out, okay? Please don't. Get over yourself. I wasn't going to anyway. Good. Because you said some pretty stupid comments regarding, you know, that. Now, I'm a Christian. I would consider myself a Christian. It's just a bad one. So, just chill out. Okay? Just chill. Don't be wasting that energy on such petty things. If I get this job, that'd be awesome. Like I said, I'm going to say it one more time for the cheap seats. I would be surprised if I didn't get this job. And I would also be disappointed. But you know, I got a job. I got it as long as I want it. They're kind of doing some expansion. There's going to be, well, here's the thing though. I'm just going to be, I told him, I said, I can have all that dirt moved in, you know, 3 or 4 days. In reality, I can have it moved in probably 2.5. You think fuckboy over there could move that dirt that goddamn fast? Actually, probably could. But anyway. But yeah, it'll just be, they got like 200 tons of topsoil that just needs to be moved the fuck out of the way. Because they're going to be, you know, building some stuff. So anyway, I guess that's all I got to say. Oh, sweet. K-Day, Bay, boo-boo, Shorty. Shorty, she's on my mind, blah, blah, blah. It's some sort of song. I don't remember who sings it, what the name of it is, but it's something like, I'm so in love, Shorty, come my way, baby, you're on my mind all the time. Hey, boo thing, boo, 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 girl, hey, you. It's not really like that, but because that's like a term of endearment, you know, that rappers use. Boo, Shorty. What else do they use? Those are the only two that I know. Shorty, boo. Guess that's it. Yeah. No overtime really kills a person's pay. You know, it really does. So. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away, but yes, it'll be more hours, especially during the summer. I mean, but 12-hour days. I mean, that's, you know, that's kind of what I've been doing my whole life. You know, 12 to 14, but I still do have the commute home. But it's only, you know, I'm trying to keep things on the down low, but And the drive is a good drive too. It's not. I don't have to deal with a lot of traffic or stoplights. I mean, it just is what it is. So, but yes, this is going to be a substantial pay increase. I mean, I was making good money before, but this is going to be, whoa, yeah. Would you switch industries or something? No, same industry, just switch jobs. So, yeah. Oh, look at all them big fucking heavy machinery back there. Oh,